Now, a few comments regarding the development of East Med gas. So, of course, Israel, there is a huge supply of natural gas in the region. I would say excess supply. I mentioned Israel, so we have right now, until a year ago, we have only one sources for 7 years, the Tamar field, which supplied more than 60% of power generation and industry and other users. It was a major, I would say, political risk, so national security risk, which was associated with the dependence on one source of gas. But beginning January last year, the Leviathan field was connected to the mainland Israel, and we are supplied by two major fields. And in additional year, the Greek company Energean is developing with an floating production storage offload facility that is 100 kilometers offshore, the Karish Tanin field. And is going to connect to and supply. And they were very, very aggressive and were able to capture more than 50% of the market in long-term take-or-pay contracts. Good for them. The competition led a major decrease in the gas prices, domestic gas prices. So with the export of gas to Egypt and to Jordan, close to 70% of the electricity in Jordan is now based on gas which is imported from Israel from the Leviathan field, and the amount of gas which Israel export to Egypt is expected to increase. And just only last week, it was announced that at least the government signed a memorandum of understanding for construction of additional pipeline directly from the Leviathan field, which is 130 kilometers offshore northern Israel, I would say about 200 kilometers south to Paphos, and directly to northern Egypt, direct submarine pipeline. Currently, all the export of gas from Israel to Egypt is being done from Ashkelon to Israel, Ashkelon, south of Israel on the Mediterranean, but submarine pipeline, the EMG pipeline, which used to basically to ship gas from Egypt to Israel from the years 2009, 2011. Now it was reversed, the flow of the gas, and Israel is exporting the gas via this submarine pipeline, which is bypassing the Gaza Strip. But the capacity of this pipeline is limited to 7 BCM a year. So there is an idea, let's see if it is going to materialize, to ship additional quantities of gas from the Leviathan field to Egypt, especially for the Idku and Damietta LNG liquefaction plants for export to international markets. Let's see if this is going to mature. Vis-a-vis the East Med pipeline to utilize gas from Israel, Leviathan, Tamar fields, and Aphrodite in the other fields in Cyprus via Crete and Greece to southern Italy. Well, that's still a pipe dream, which pipe dream, I mean, very close associated with IGI Poseidon, the company which is developing this project. Their major mission is to secure long-term take-or-pay contracts in Europe for this gas. It's not going to be so cheap gas, additional $10 billion of investment in this pipeline infrastructure. So this gas will need to compete economically with gas from Russia, with Gazprom in Algeria, and from Norway, and from even LNG from America. So it's still a question mark whether they'll be able to secure a long-term take-or-pay contract for this gas. Vis-a-vis the development of the field offshore Cyprus, I'm not so optimistic, unfortunately. In this respect, Cyprus decided first to go on its own course, rightly so, I think more than a decade in a delay in importing LNG for the domestic market, which able to stop or decrease significantly the utilization of or production of electricity in Cyprus from heavy fuel oil and diesel, very, very costly and polluting. So to convert the power station in Vasilikos and other power stations to gas. So that's an important move. But to construct an LNG facility, I don't think it will happen in the next few years because there is a glut, excess supply of LNG in the world. Prices of LNG decreasing, I would say, because of excess supply of gas in average. Now they are relatively high because of winter time and so on, but many countries are postponing development of LNG facilities. So I don't think that additional LNG facilities, not in Israel, neither in Cyprus, is going to be constructed. Maybe later on in the decade, if it's going to be economic. Export of gas from Cyprus to Egypt, possibly, but again, it's going to be a relatively costly gas for utilization in Egypt. So I'm not so optimistic vis-a-vis relatively quick development of gas offshore Cyprus. What I am optimistic about is the construction of the Eurasian electricity cable from Greece via Crete to Cyprus to Israel, and possibly another extension to Egypt. I believe this will materialize. So Israel, so both Cyprus and Israel will not be energy island in this respect, and there is going to be a backup of electricity. And in this respect, I know of some developers who are thinking about even constructing electricity power plants, combined cycle natural gas-based power plants in Cyprus. And in this respect, if it's going to materialize, so it's going to be economic justification for the development of either Aphrodite or another one of the other gas fields which were discovered offshore Cyprus for export of electricity to Israel or to Greece and Europe. So that might happen in the next few years. So to sum up, the direction we are going in one major direction, shift from fossil fuel in power generation to renewables, or a mix of gas and renewables in power generation and other uses in this respect, as well as transportation once we shift to electricity. So that's my vision to Israel, and the same vision to Cyprus. I think that not only power generation should be based on gas in Cyprus, but also a quick as possible deployment of renewable energy in both sides of the island, especially in Greek Cypriot, in Cyprus, and in Tiran Sea, the Turkish side of Cyprus. You have excellent radiation condition, and in some places there are very good wind condition. And I believe that Cyprus should go on renewable as much as possible, because today this is the cheapest energy source possible for power generation, plus backup of battery farms and the auto fleet to start the shift to electricity-based transportation. So that's the future, and that's our vision. So thank you very much for having me, and let's hopefully meet hopefully this year, or if not this year, next year, in conferences and seminars. And I used to visit Cyprus very often, at least 5-6 times per year. I really hope, I miss my friends in Cyprus, and hope to see you in person quickly. Thank you.